Nous allons sans plus tarder inviter professeur ABDALLAH UBA ADAMU qui va nous donner la substance de l'ouvrage.
Excellencies, honorables, all protocols observed. Assalamu alaikum. I'm here privileged to review the book on a very great scholar. I'm a great soldier, a great leader, and an African patriot, Muhammadu Buhari. The book was written by John Payden. John Payden, one of the most credible ethnographers of northern Nigerian history, culture, and politics, was no stranger to the evolution of power in northern Nigeria. His intellectual pedigree preceded him. He started with religion and political culture in Kano and followed it with Ahmadu Bello, Sardauna of Sokoto, values and leadership in Nigeria. These two classic historiographies of northern Nigeria are now completed with Payden's recent opera, Muhammad Buhari, Challenges of Leadership in Nigeria. Great leaders who leave their footprints in the sands of time usually have humble beginnings. This was the same with President Muhammad Buhari, born in Daura in present-day Kaduna State and quite close to the equally ancient and beautiful city of Maradi in Niger Republic in December 1942. He lost his father at the age of 4 and was raised together with 5 other siblings by his mother. Outwardly Fulani, inwardly a combination of Kanuri and Hausa heritages, but a Nigerian in his outlook, Muhammad Buhari was strongly spirited as a young schoolboy. It took Maman Daura, older by 3 years, even though his nephew, to calm the high spirits of Muhammad Buhari through school years. And right there and then a lifelong relationship was forged. They had remained close throughout the secondary school years, with Muhammad Buhari holding various positions of responsibility, a roadmap to his future. With such high spirit, the defense of the realm would be the only destination. It was not surprising, therefore, that Muhammad Buhari, strongly encouraged by his young uncle, would enter Nigerian Military Training College in Kaduna. The narrative unraveled about his journey through educational systems, which included a Nigerian Military Training College, Kaduna, before attending the Mons Officer Cadet School in Aldershot, and his return back to Nigeria. He was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Nigerian Army in 1963. Muhammad Buhari established a solid military career, becoming a soldier's soldier. This was rewarded with a gradual progression through the necessary steps to ascend to the top of the profession, moving from one exalted position to another, serving as a military governor, federal commissioner, and chairman of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. His achievements, such as building of 24 large petroleum depots across the country, were some of the highlights of that period of his life. It was not surprising, therefore, when the military hierarchy felt the need to provide the country with a new direction, then General Muhammad Buhari was unanimously accepted as the head of state and commander-in-chief of the armed forces in January 1984. A strong component of the 20-month period of General Buhari's tenure as head of state was the institution of war against discipline, a social reform process that imposes discipline in all public and private affairs of citizens. Implemented with strong vigor, it raised its haunting specter in the first few months of Muhammad Buhari's second coming as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2015. However, back in 1984, the regime instituted for the first time the concept of public accountability and a vigorous fight against corruption. Indeed, this theater of war against corruption come to characterize not only Muhammad Buhari's style of leadership, but also personal conduct. Again, it was these qualities that stood him in good stead in 2015. For instance, he instituted a redesign of Nigeria's currency, the Naira, in 1985, and that tremendously checked political corruption in the country. The same process is to be repeated on 15 December 2022, when Muhammad Buhari approved Naira redesign, again to curb corruption in the polity. Muhammad Buhari's commitment to agriculture was reflected in the strengthening of Nigeria's river basin development authorities to help improve irrigation of crops such as grain, tomatoes, onions, and potatoes. All these policies, including personal conviction of probity and accountability, did not go down well with some senior military officers, leading to a coup in 1985. Thus, Muhammad Buhari became a victim of the turmoil of African politics when he was overthrown from his leadership by a group of fellow military officers and detained in Benin for 3 years. He took it in his stride, believing, like the good Muslim that he is, that power belongs to Allah. His mother's death in December 1985 was devastating, like all deaths of loved ones. Public pressure made it possible for the military regime to allow him to go back to Daura as a retired major general to a fresh start in life and more focused attention to farming. Subsequent family life saw Muhammad Buhari having a male and 8 females, giving him a strong focus on female education by insisting on full education of his daughters up to tertiary levels as preparations for self-reliance. This, of course, cut a different image of the stern Fulani patriarch who may wish early marriage for his daughters. Muhammad Buhari's belief in the achievement of women was thus clearly demonstrated from home with his own family. Living quietly in Daura, immediately after his detention, his reputation created 3 nicknames for him. Mai Mutunci, Mr. Integrity; Mai Gaskiya, Mr. Truth; Mutumin Kirki, the good man. It was therefore not surprising that he was appointed to chair the Katinda Foundation, a charitable foundation established to provide intervention in education, health services, and small businesses in his home state. A petroleum trust fund set up in 1994 with the purpose of using excess crude funds for public projects was also established. What was needed was a true Mr. Integrity to head it. None picked this than Muhammad Buhari. Thus, in 1996, he was offered the position of the chairman of PTF. He accepted simply because he believed in Nigeria, and despite the way he and his policies were treated, was willing to serve the country. His integrity grew with the chairmanship of PTF, and under him, development projects that were created for the country truly benefited the entire country, not just one section. He oversaw concrete and valuable projects that impacted on the lives of people. When a regime change closed down the PTF, all attempts to link Muhammad Buhari to any corruption during his tenure failed. His stewardship of PTF has remained part of his positive legacy, even in the states in the South that will challenge his subsequent presidential ambition. In any event, he left PTF in 1998 and returned back to Daura and continued focusing on his farm. However, those who knew him were aware of his leadership capabilities and high integrity, kept pestering him to join politics. He was therefore persuaded to sustain his dream of Nigerian project by contesting for the office of the president in various years from 2003 to 2015 on various political platforms, often including alliances in order to save Nigeria from years of suffering. His patience, resilience, and total faith in God were rewarded when he was elected the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2015. President Muhammad Buhari's inaugural speech articulated the priorities of the incoming administration to include, among others, tackling Boko Haram insurgency and fighting corruption perpetuated by government officials without witch hunts. To attain these priority goals, in his first 6 months in office, President Buhari embarked on many trips to different parts of the world in order to secure international cooperation and partnership. The administration subsequently took measures to heal the divisions in the country that greeted the aftermath of the 2015 general elections. To ensure no section of the country is skimmed out, President Buhari nominated ministers to reflect geopolitical balance, professional callings, and political experiences. New challenges that emerged in the last quarter of 2015 and decisively dealt with were threats of secession in the southeastern part of the country and the sophistication of the Boko Haram crises, where the porous borders with Niger Republic, Chad, and Cameroon have provided a regrouping ground for the terrorists. To tackle these challenges, the government strengthened credible military leadership, restored morale, and logistic support for troops. Before the end of the first tenure of the administration in 2019, the local governments held by Boko Haram before the President Muhammad Buhari took over have all been reclaimed, though through effective strategic and tactical operation that can only come from the mind of a seasoned combatant veteran as President Buhari. The resilience and leadership qualities of President Muhammad Buhari are clear testimonies to how such qualities can defeat an incumbent in Nigeria. The priorities of the administration in its first year in office had been to degrade and destroy Boko Haram, stop large-scale corruption, and uphold culprits accountable, restart economic initiatives, and diversify the economy, begin reconstruction in the Northeast, and help resettle IDPs, and set a new tone in politics of probity and playing by constitutional rules. John Payton has fairly provided a biography of current Nigeria's president, where he exposed the qualities of president that may not have been known to many. The author is very much qualified to give such account of the Muhammad Buhari he knew. Furthermore, John Payton was involved in the Nigerian project in the 1970s and 1980s. This book is well written and will appeal to both specialists and general casual reader. However, this book is now available in both English and in French. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.